Madam President.
Senator from Delaware.
Thanks, thanks, Madam President. I stand in solidarity with my friend from Kansas to say to Senator Moran, thank you for your great leadership and for allowing me to be your wingman as we do our best to not just to save the postal office, postal service, but to make sure that they are robust and germane to the futures, germane to the future of our and integral to the future of our country as they have been for the last 200 plus years. When the folks in Delaware gathered, we had about 25 men who gathered in a place called Dover, Delaware, on December 7, 1787, and we voted after negotiating for 3 days, debating for 3 days, a draft constitution. We adopted it unanimously and sent it off to the other 12 colonies. One element in the Constitution that was sent to us from Philadelphia by our founding fathers was the creation of a postal service, And it's been mentioned before that the first Postmaster General was Ben Franklin, of all people. And what the founding fathers had in mind was a way to bind us together as a country, to bind us together as a country. The idea of being able to communicate through the mail, that was important. The idea of fostering greater economic growth, that was important. But they also were looking for a way to pull us together as a new nation, and the Postal Service was integral to doing that. For over the years, the Postal Service has changed, and for the most part, I think it's changed in good ways. It used to be people got their mail by going to post offices or maybe in the community where they lived or close to the community where they lived, but they had to go to the post office to get it. Eventually, the mail was delivered to farms and to homes and to businesses across the country, and people didn't have to leave their homes to get the mail. There was a time, not that long ago, when we didn't have the internet. And if we wanted to communicate, we wanted to send letters to people or cards to people, a lot of gifts to people, we would use the Postal Service. Today we can use the internet. The internet taketh, and for the Postal Service, taketh and giveth away. A lot of folks who had just hit a button, a send button, for a birthday card or Christmas card or any kind of holiday card, they used to send the actual cards. A lot of people don't do that anymore. If you look at the financial condition of the Postal Service, one of the things that's happened most noticeably in the last 10, 15, 20 years is a drop in first-class mail. And a large part of that is from the internet. I like to say, again, the internet taketh and giveth away. But one of the great things that comes out of the internet is a lot of people are ordering items over the internet for purchase. A lot of people order food, but a lot of people order clothes. They order shoes. They order all kinds of things. And you know who has a chance to deliver it? The Postal Service. The Postal Service delivers not just one day a week, but 7 days a week. They are omnipresent. And as we hear Johnny Cash, every time I turn on my TV, I hear Johnny Cash singing, "I've Been Everywhere, Man." And the Postal Service still goes everywhere, man. And they also have a great partnership with, believe it or not, UPS, and a great partnership with FedEx. FedEx and UPS, they don't want to go to every mailbox in the country every day. The Postal Service does it at least 6 days a week. And what the Postal Service does in a partnership with UPS and FedEx is take a handoff and deliver the last mile, last 5 miles, last 10 miles to the places that Postal Service is going to go to anyway. I think one of the challenges that the Postal Service has had to try to balance their books, their finances, comes, and I remember when I was governor of Delaware, going to the rating agencies, and the rating agencies said to us, before they lowered our credit rating a long time ago, they said, you don't have a pension fund. You haven't funded your pension costs for your pensioners. And so we created a pension fund, fully funded them. And after we'd done that, later on, we finally kind of got a AAA credit rating years later. And one of the things they said, you still haven't fully offset the cost of healthcare costs for your pensioners. For us, that was a concern, but not an enormous concern, because our pensioners had access. They were covered under Medicare. Unfortunately for the Postal Service has paid into Medicare for years for their employees. Unfortunately, when those retirees reach the age of 65, they don't have full access to the full benefits of Medicare. That is not right. These are benefits paid for by the employer, the Postal Service, and this legislation fixes that to make sure that the right thing is done. The benefits that have been paid for through Medicare are actually inured to flow to the pensioners and of the Postal Service. The other thing that I would mention is 6-day service. I used to see a good service by the Postal Service would be maybe 1-day service for local, maybe in the same city, 2-day service maybe to other parts of the state, 3-day service coast to coast. And the legislation that's before us today calls for delivery within 6 days. For me, that's not good enough. And my hope is we can come back and somehow better replace or better restore the term service. Having said that, the Postal Service has a board of governors, and every now and then the presidents have the opportunity to nominate people to serve on the board of governors. We have the opportunity to vote them up or down. We need people on board of governors who are very good at figuring out how do we help the Postal Service monetize the burden of going to every single mailbox in the country 6 days a week. How do we do that? How do we help the Postal Service turn that into financial opportunity? Much as they have with UPS and FedEx, and other ways as well. Delivering medicines is a great example there. And there are other examples. Vote by mail. And I think we're only scratching the surface on vote by mail. Those are all ideas that help the Postal Service monetize, to realize revenues from this responsibility to go to every mailbox in the country. One last thing I'd mention that's not in this legislation is postal vehicles. Postal vehicles. There are a bunch of them. I think well over 150,000 across the country. Almost everyone is gas and diesel driven. You've seen from others, UPS, FedEx, Amazon, others with big fleets are transitioning away from gas and diesel, and they're doing it rather quickly. We're seeing the same kind of transformation in the vehicles that we drive. Why is it important? Because we have way too much carbon and dioxide in the air. It's creating climate, not just climate change, it's creating a climate crisis. My state we're the lowest lying state in the country. My state is sinking, the seas around us are rising. Down in Louisiana, every 100 minutes, they lose a piece of land to the ocean the size of a football field, every 100 minutes. If you go out on the West Coast, you had wildfires this year. Last year, bigger than my state. Temperatures in the Arctic Circle reached, I think, last year 90 degrees. More named hurricanes in the last year than any year in history. Hottest summers on record. Something's going on here. And what it is way too much carbon in the air. A lot of that carbon is coming from mobile sources, including the vehicles we drive, including the fleets, like the postal fleet. The Postal Service's fleet is about 25 years old on average. They have the opportunity here to update that. The cost of moving to electric vehicles, having charging stations, is a cost that the Postal Service says, I think with some legitimacy, that we as taxpayers need to help to underwrite that cost. Having said that, the Postal Service and their calculation for buying gas and diesel-powered vehicles to replace their fleet, I believe my understanding is they're using as an assumption for the cost of gas and diesel fleet, $2 a gallon charge for gas and diesel going forward. $2. We'd like to see $2, wouldn't we? And that is just basically understating by half the cost of gas and diesel for a future fleet, and that needs to be fixed. We have a great opportunity to make sure that the Postal Service is not just delivering the mail, rain, snow, or shine, but also doing so in a way that helps us on the climate crisis side. We can do both, and we need to do both. I'll close by saying this. I want to thank and applaud the leadership of our chair and ranking member of the Committee of Jurisdiction here, from our chair, Gary Peters, our ranking member, Rob Portman. Thank you and your staffs for your work on this, and for a lot of other folks that have worked on this before. Most certainly Jerry Moran and his team. I especially want to say to members of my staff who've worked on these issues forever. And my friend Susan Collins, Susan's not on the floor right now, our senator from Maine, but she has spent, God knows, plenty of time and effort working with me and others on these issues. And this is not the end. This is not the end in terms of what we need to do on postal. This is not maybe the beginning of the end. This is the end of the beginning, but it's a good end of the beginning. And we need to build on this and go forward on this, and I hope and pray that that's exactly what we do. I thank you. I'll yield back.
Madam President.
Senator from Rhode Island.